again with Arnor-Tech. Today we're going to install the doors on the back half of our Can-Am Defender Max. We'll start off by removing the net, which you see I already have off, and then we'll need to remove this bolster bar. You need to be sure and keep those to the side to where if you ever remove your doors that you can put those items back on. Alright, what we're going to do first, like I said a few minutes ago, we've already got the netting off and we're going to tackle this bolster bar. What you have is a screw right here to remove on both sides, and in the back side of this bar there are two number 6mm screws that number 10 wrench is going to fit. And if you pop the seat forward, it'll give you a little extra room to get in there to work with this. One thing to note on these two screws down here from the factory, they put Loctite on them, and it is some crazy tight stuff. Be real easy getting these out, work them back and forth. If you do break it off, don't panic. This panel come off, you can get to the back side, drill both ways, and retap the hole. Get your box opened up and everything unpackaged. You're going to find inside the box with the jams all of your hardware that's needed. You're going to have bag 10, which will be 2 handles, bag 29, which is your hinges for your doors. Please note there is a right and a left set. You'll have bag 16 with the nuts and bolts that will be needed for the install. Then you're going to have bag 57 that'll have your powder coat and mounting bracket. First thing to do before you put the jam on, this will help to give you some room to get in there to it. Where the bolster bar comes off at the bottom, you're going to replace this bracket into the holes with the bolts that held the bolster bar on. Alright, we're going to start by hanging our jam in our bag. You're going to find that there's a number 6. I believe this is a 50mm bolt. Put a flat washer on it. It'll go in the top hole of your jam and place inside this threaded hole. And if you put that in there first, it'll make it a lot easier. You'll just kind of hang the jam and it'll be easier to get the rest of your stuff on. Also in the bag, you're going to have this bracket. And this right here is going to go on the back side of the bar of the bike, and it's going to come around and line up with the screws on your jam. And then you're going to put a flat washer, a lock washer, and a nut. In the bag there'll be a 1-inch bolt. We're going to stick it through this hole, through that little bracket that we put at the bottom. Put a flat washer, lock washer, and a nut. Alright, now that we got all of our bolts started, it's time to go ahead and tighten up all of the bolts that hold on our jam to the bike. When you get this one pulled up, in the bag there's going to be a number 6mm nut that you'll screw on the back and you'll jam it tight so your bolts don't come loose. Alright, we're fixing to put the hinges on our jam. In your bag 29, there's going to be 2 sets of hinges. There'll be a 755L and a 755R. The 2 left-hand sides, which will be the 755L, will go on the left-hand side of the bike. When you pull your hinges apart, you're going to have one that has a pin and one that has a barrel. We always put this one that has the pin on your door and this one that has the barrel on your jam. And if your pin, when it goes on the doors facing the ground, that will be the correct way that they go on. And you'll know that you don't have the opposite side if your bags are not marked. Now you're going to use the 5/8 long screw, a flat washer, and a lock washer, and a regular nut. You'll want to just start these by finger tight, leave them just a little bit loose because you'll have to do some adjusting on these when you get your door. What we're going to do is we'll get the hinge with the pin. The bottom of my door goes this way, so that pin will face the bottom. And what we'll do is we'll put that bolt, it'll be a 5/8 long 1/4-inch screw with a flat washer and a lock nut. Get it started right there. Do the same in the other hole. And put both sets of hinges on. Alright, our handle is going to go underneath since I've got it upside down. In the bag there's going to be 3 different bolts in the same compartment most likely. And what these are for is for extending this pawl on the push button. It needs to have the shortest one. So go ahead and put the lock nut on the bolt. go ahead and screw it into the handle. On this particular one, you're going to take it pretty much to the bottom of the threads, and then lightly snug, you jam it to your handle. Then you're going to bring that striker bolt up through there and take the 3 6mm by 25mm screws or bolts with flat washers and bolt your handle on. And go ahead and snug that up. Alright, now that we have the bracket out of our bag for our striker bolt, and get the striker bolt out of bag 16, there'll be 2 flat washers on your striker bolt. Go ahead and put that into the long slotted side there, and just put this together. Don't tighten it. Just put it about center ways and just hand snug it. Also in your bag, you're going to have an Allen head bolt with about 5/16 flat washer. This is your striker bracket, and it's going to mount to the inside of your frame right there. Take your 4mm Allen and set this about halfway up and down. Is where I usually try to start everything out when I put a set of doors on. And just lightly snug it just to hold it in place, and do the same with this bracket here, just lightly snug it with your fingers. And then we'll get our door swung and see how it looks. Alright, what we're going to do is we're going to pick it up and we're going to slide these hinges together. It can be a little tricky, but usually I can get it. There they go. And there again, remember, we have these hinges all set loose so we can start adjusting our door. One of the things I like to do first is I like to get my body line right here off my jamb to my door set in height by the hinge right here. Alright, when I bring this hinge up, I'll get my body line together. Make sure your hinge is put together. And most of the time, well, there you go. Usually one of the screws will catch enough that you can just lightly snug it with your impact. If not, grab you a buddy, stick them inside, and they can hold the nuts for you. We're going to take this door and we're going to set it to our opening so we can adjust this side of the hinge, what allows the door to go in and out. If you open the window, it gives you a good access to get to the back side of these nuts and bolts while you're trying to hold it in place. I like pulling it back to where I have just a little bit of gap between my gasket and the jamb. And when I get that to where I like it, there again, I'll snug it. Usually that's just enough to hold it in place. I'll pull that forward just a little bit. Alright, from here, you'll want to start looking at your perimeters all the way around your door to see how your gaps look. Looks really good right now. I think I may leave it right there. Take a second and go ahead and snug these down a little bit tighter with your wrench, and we'll adjust the striker bolt. Adjust this striker bolt to fit in the middle of the paws of the rotary latch. It's really close right now. I'm going to try just a touch. Hopefully I don't make it worse. If that's looking really close, just lightly snug them in case you may have to adjust again. That's looking pretty good. I've got one click, and as you can tell, that bolt's already loose. We're going to snug it just a little bit. Got it lightly snugged, so it'll quit moving. What you want is the double click on it. We may adjust this end just a little bit more. It's got a pretty good seal right now anyway, but we'll bring it in just a touch. Alright, that's a pretty hard pull to get that second click. That's probably just about right and give tonight for that gasket to set in. In the adjustments of this, if the striker bolt washer is really close to the catch of the door, you can remove one of those washers and allow it to go a little bit further away. We put one washer on both sides. That allows us to have an adjustment. If it's too far away, you can bring one of the washers around, put on this side and put two, and bring it over in case this is too close. But in doing that, it just gives us a little bit more of adjustment. Alright, let's make sure that you have all your nuts and bolts tightened. Check all of your hinges and on your jamb. And if they're all tight, you're ready to enjoy your doors on your next ride.